Beardo Benjo.
PSVR 2 is so close now. We're only days away from starting to receive our pre-order units, and the VR community are going crazy over the first batch of reviews. The hardware itself has been reviewing incredibly well, and the leading first-party launch game, Horizon Call of the Mountain, is being handed 8 and 9 out of 10 review scores left and right. It's looking like Sony are onto an absolute winner here. A VR headset packed with incredible specs and features, and a launch lineup of games comprising some high-end exclusives and the very best multi-platform VR titles available today. With over 30 launch titles on their way, a number that seems to be growing by the day, and over 100 more titles confirmed to be in development, it doesn't sound like there is going to be any shortage of PSVR 2 games to keep us busy. However, I'm a dreamer. I can't help but think about the possibilities, the potential titles that could propel PSVR 2 to an entirely different level and drive VR towards the mainstream. So sit back and indulge me for a short while. These are the 10 VR games that PSVR 2 needs to really and truly blow away the competition and push VR to exciting new heights. Metal Gear Solid has lain dormant for far too long. Due to a rather public and uncomfortable breakup between Kojima and Konami, the Metal Gear franchise hasn't seen a new entry since Metal Gear Survive, and honestly, the less we talk about that, the better. Rumour has swirled for a little while now, however, about a potential Metal Gear Solid remake, with the developer of the Demon's Souls and Shadow of the Colossus remakes, Bluepoint, at the helm. It might just be rumour, nothing could come of this, but if there is truth to it, then I'd love to see Metal Gear Reborn complete with VR support. What a fantastic way to showcase support for your brand new VR headset than with one of gaming's greatest franchises of all time making a comeback and fully playable inside virtual reality. It's only a dream at this point, but Sony has the power to leverage some truly iconic games into VR, and I for one hope Metal Gear is one of them. Blood and Truth is a true PSVR gem. It's an exclusive still to this day, and a game that really tried to immerse players in the starring role of their very own Cockney gangster action movie. With a great cast, some gorgeous visuals, big bombastic set pieces, and a cheesy, cliche-filled but ultimately enjoyable story, Blood and Truth is a real highlight of the PSVR library alongside the short experience that inspired its creation, the London Heist. However, like many PSVR titles, Blood and Truth was held back by the headset's resolution, its overall murky display, and those awful PlayStation Move controllers. Fast forward to 2023, and those issues are a thing of the past. PSVR 2 has the resolution, the crisp OLED screens, VR HDR support, and some fantastic premium controllers complete with haptics. This is the perfect platform for Blood and Truth to make a comeback, either as a remake or a full-blown sequel. We need more of these big flamboyant action movie style VR games, and Blood and Truth on PSVR 2 could be one of the best. At this point, Grand Theft Auto 5 has probably been repackaged and resold just as much as Skyrim or Resident Evil 4. But the one thing that GTA 5 doesn't have, that those other two games do have, is an official VR port. GTA San Andreas was teased for the Quest platform over 2 years ago now, and we've still seen nothing resembling gameplay, not even a measly screenshot, or even a development update. So perhaps it falls to Sony and the PSVR 2 to give the players what they want: a large-scale open-world crime epic in virtual reality. Thinking about it, we don't actually have any of these type of open-world city-style games in VR. We do have open-world fantasy adventures, but a game on the scale of GTA where you can hop in vehicles, take on missions, play tennis, go skydiving, have intense shootouts, and generally just cause chaos is something we do not currently have in the VR space, and it's a massive gap in the market. GTA 5 or any of the GTA games for that matter would be a true system seller and a massive boon to the popularity of VR in general. I just hope the PSVR 2 doesn't track my eyes when I'm in the strip club. You know, I am still absolutely gutted that we're not getting an Astro's Playroom style VR game to help us get acquainted with our PSVR 2 headsets on launch day. The inclusion of this incredibly charming adventure with every PS5 purchase was genius, and it served as an amazing game to help us learn about the features of the console. However, I am still holding out hope that we will get an Astrobot adventure for PSVR 2 at some point. The original Astrobot rescue mission is one of the best platformers I've played in recent years, easily on par with the polish and quality of some of the modern Mario titles, with tight controls, beautifully vibrant visuals, surprisingly innovative mechanics, and some of the catchiest music ever recorded for a video game. A sequel for PSVR 2 that finds fun ways to utilise all those new features, plus a remake of the original adventure please, is a no-brainer. Another bright, vibrant platform adventure is always welcome, and honestly it feels like Astro is the full-blown PlayStation mascot at this point. Surely he needs to welcome all those new PSVR 2 users with an exciting new game. Have you guys seen the sheer quantity of content that people have made in Dreams? It's absolutely mind-blowing. Now, when Dreams was first announced, I actually went to an advanced preview event where they showed us all how people could create games and content with the tools provided. I honestly left feeling not that impressed, and never in a million years thought people would be making stuff that looks like this. That's right, this was made in Dreams, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Now, Dreams is clearly a very powerful piece of software. It does currently support PSVR, but PSVR 2 support would be a massive win. The game still has a large active community of players and creators, so bringing them over to PSVR 2 with the increased visual fidelity and new haptic and eye tracking features would surely just unlock a whole new wave of creativity in an already immensely creative bunch. Dreams really is the ultimate ever-expanding source of gaming and VR content, and bringing that to PSVR 2 could be huge. I feel like I've been asking for Bioshock VR for years now. It's such low-hanging fruit. It feels so obvious. It's one of the best FPS series of all time, and it's absolutely begging for a VR version. Its gorgeous, haunting and unique settings, whether it's Rapture or Columbia, make for the perfect virtual reality locations to get lost in and explore, and things like casting plasmids with one hand whilst firing a gun in the other is already something I can see working beautifully in VR. With titles like Resident Evil 4 proving how lucrative and rejuvenating it can be when you take an older game and rebuild it for VR, Bioshock feels like it is amongst the very best candidates for conversion. The series still has a massive following of fans, and I don't know many people who wouldn't want to experience these classics in VR. Imagine coming face to face with a full-size Big Daddy, or using your skyhook to ride the rails like a roller coaster high up in the clouds. There are so many iconic moments from the trilogy that I would pay good money to see in virtual reality. If anyone has the connections and the money to make it happen, it's Sony. PSVR 2 could become the go-to platform for VR if they could pull off something as incredible as Bioshock Trilogy VR. Farpoint is another of the biggest highlights in the original PSVR library, especially if you played it with the awesome throwback light gun, the PSVR aim controller. It's an awesome sci-fi adventure that takes place across a planet inhabited by giant Starship Trooper style spider creatures, and blasting them is some of the most fun I've had in a VR shooter. In a lot of ways, Farpoint is exactly what I was hoping Hubris would be. However, the latter focused more on slow-paced exploration and resource collecting, whereas Farpoint was a lot more heavy on the classic action-adventure angle. The developer of Farpoint went on to make Larcenauts, the hero shooter for PC VR and Quest, which never quite found its feet, and was famous for taking control of the player's hands away from them whenever they used the sprint in-game, presumably to balance the matches and stop people from running and shooting at the same time. I'd personally love to see developer Impulse Gear return to the Farpoint franchise and give us a new entry on PSVR 2. I'd even pay for another funky light gun style controller if it came complete with its own tracking, haptics and resistance on the trigger. For now, this VR sci-fi gem is locked to the PSVR, but here's hoping it makes the leap over to PSVR 2, complete with a fully fleshed out sequel at some point in the future. Where is Killzone? In a world obsessed with shiny new military shooters, that's current top tier sci-fi entry, Halo is struggling to stay relevant, especially in the single player campaign space, It's baffling to me that one of the biggest FPS IPs in Sony's back catalogue has been laid to rest for so long. The last entry in the Killzone franchise was the PS4 title Killzone Shadowfall, which came out 10 years ago now in 2013. Since then, the developer Guerrilla Games have moved on to the immensely popular Horizon Zero Dawn franchise, so it's clear they're busy with new ventures, but there must be a studio out there willing to bring back the Hellgast and throw players into a new Killzone experience. Preferably a VR one. As far as Sony's IPs that would work perfectly in VR go, Killzone is the most obvious candidate. First-person shooters already come with a pre-baked level of suitability for VR, and there haven't been that many successful attempts at this stage to convert the frantic set-piece-filled fun of a flat-screen FPS campaign into VR just yet, so there is definitely a gap in the market alongside the current frontrunner HalfLife Alex. The worlds, visuals, mechanics and lore of Killzone is begging to be revived, and VR feels like the perfect place to do it. Bring a fully fleshed out suite of online modes as well, and you'll have another huge reason for customers to buy into the PSVR 2. Okay, this one feels like a no-brainer to me. HalfLife Alex is arguably the best VR game ever made. The level of polish, the stunning environments, the length of the campaign, the active and immensely impressive modding community, and the continuation, sort of a story that fans have been waiting to see for so many years. HalfLife Alex was Valve's attempt at showing the world just how awesome VR can be, and almost everyone that I know who played it has been searching for something that comes even remotely close ever since, so surely a whole new audience of VR users should be exposed to this benchmark title. The PS5 is an exceptionally capable beast, and truth be told, it's the only other VR platform right now that could handle and do justice to something like HalfLife Alex. A Quest port would almost certainly never work, despite how financially lucrative it might be. There's even an argument here to say that the core Half-Life Alex campaign might even be better on PSVR 2. If it was given the time and attention to implement the unique features of the hardware, then we could end up with the most immersive and impressive version of the game to date. Feeling the pulse of the alien grenades vibrate through your hand, or having your face haptics react whenever you're grabbed by a barnacle, the possibilities are endless. Rumour has swirled about this one for quite some time, but nothing concrete has ever materialised. Fingers crossed this one happens. It just feels like a massive win for everyone involved. Valve get money, Sony get money, and a whole new generation of fans get to experience Half-Life on their brand new PSVR 2. Go to YouTube right now and search VR Spider-Man game. You'll immediately see that there is a huge hunger in the VR community for proper VR superhero experiences, and sitting right at the top of that list is Spidey. We've had a couple of small-scale, free-to-play VR games in the past, the Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home experiences on PC VR and PSVR. However, these were just teasers, small tasters of what something like this could really be like. Something like Insomniac's most recent Spider-Man game, with its fully fleshed out open world city, filled with side quests and a cinematic story to complete, except in VR, would likely be amongst the best-selling VR games of all time. Imagine the feeling of swinging through the city high above the bustling streets below, your PSVR 2 headset feeding haptics into your faceplate to simulate the wind rushing past your head, the controllers giving off bursts of haptics whenever you shoot a new web, and then feel the tension of it as your swing reaches its peak. There are so many amazing ways you could implement the PSVR 2's hardware features in a Spider-Man game. Don't even get me started on the ways eye tracking paired with facial haptics could create the ultimate Spidey sense experience. With Sony dropping a brand new VR headset and Insomniac, the team with a ton of experience making awesome VR games in the past, working on the Spider-Man franchise, it feels like the perfect time to give VR fans and consumers what they've been searching for. The ultimate VR Spider-Man game could become a reality on PSVR 2. I've got all my fingers and toes crossed that Sony see the potential here and go all out on creating something special. And that brings me to the end of my list. Thank you for listening. Thank you for indulging my dreams of potential PSVR 2 releases in the future. Please let me know down in the comments what games you'd like to see come to the PSVR 2. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, leave a comment and hit subscribe. I'll see you soon for another one, guys. Take care.